For over 10,000 years, the Xarix Empire ruled the galaxy. They were old, powerful, and feared by all. Their ships were fast, their weapons strong, and their leaders believed no one could challenge them. The galaxy was quiet. The weak followed orders, and the strong served the Empire. But everything changed when a strange signal came from the edge of the galaxy. It was just another quiet day at the Central Command Station. A young alien officer noticed something unusual. A signal was coming from a place that had no stars, no planets, and no life. It was called the Dead Zone. No one lived there. No one traveled near it. Even light seemed to avoid it. The signal was not natural. It was repeating again and again in perfect binary code. The officer thought it was an error, but when the senior engineers checked it, they all froze. The signal was real, and it was intelligent. The Empire didn't like surprises. They quickly sent a small scout ship to investigate. It entered the dead zone and sent a short message. Entering the dark, sensors show. Wait, something's, then silence. The ship disappeared without a trace. No explosion, no signal, nothing. The Empire sent another ship, this time with heavy armor and backup systems. It too vanished. Panic started to spread among the leaders. A third ship was prepared. This one had stealth systems and long-range sensors. As it entered the edge of the zone, it recorded something. Huge objects moving in the dark. Ships, dozens of them. But not like anything the Empire had seen before. These ships had no engine trails. They were black, almost invisible. They moved with perfect silence, like shadows in space. When the footage was shown to the Emperor, he leaned forward in shock. "Who built these?" he asked. No one had an answer. Then, a message arrived. It was short. Just 2 words. "We're back." The scientists tried to trace the signal, but it bounced across satellites and old communication lines. It was impossible to track. The language was human, an ancient race that had disappeared 300 years ago. Some believe humans had destroyed themselves in war. Others thought they were wiped out by pirates or the Empire itself. But no one really knew. Humans were just a story, a ghost from the past. Now they were back, and they had built ships that made the Empire's best technology look old. These new ships could disappear from radar, bend light, and move faster than anything recorded. Some believed they were using quantum engines, something even the Empire had not mastered. Others whispered about AIs controlling the ships, thinking faster than any pilot. The Empire called for a war council. All top generals, admirals, and science leaders came together. The High General stood up and said, "We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. But if this is real, if humans built these ships, we face a threat we do not understand." Another general laughed. "Humans were weak. We beat them once. We can beat them again." The Emperor looked at the screen showing the black ships. "These are not the same humans. Look at those designs. No heat signals, no weapons ports, but they still disabled our scouts without firing. They're not trying to be seen. They're watching us, testing us." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The humans were not just back. They were planning something. But what? Across the Empire, people started talking. Stories spread on space stations and mining colonies. Ships traveling near the dead zone went missing. Some said they saw dark shapes moving in the stars. Others claimed to hear whispers in old radio channels, voices speaking in human languages. Fear started to grow. One day, the Empire's border planet of Tharix went completely silent. No attack, no warning. All communication stopped. A patrol ship was sent and returned with a short video. A massive black ship, larger than any known cruiser, hovered above the planet. It did nothing. It just waited. Then, as if it knew it was being watched, it disappeared in one blink. The Emperor stood before his advisors and said, "We believed we were alone. We believed we were strong. But now, something stronger watches us. And they carry the name we forgot. Humans. No one laughed this time. No one spoke. Because deep inside, everyone knew something was coming. And the Empire was not ready. 300 years ago, humans were everywhere. They were not the most powerful race, but they were fast learners. They spread across many systems, building colonies, exploring deep space, and trading with other species. They had simple ships and basic weapons, but their minds were sharp. They asked questions, solved problems quickly, and never gave up. Some called them clever. Others called them dangerous. The Xarix Empire saw them as a threat. Humans grew fast. They didn't follow the rules. They explored zones the Empire had claimed. They made allies. They built things no one expected. That made the Empire angry. One day, without warning, the Empire attacked a human colony far away from the core. It was quiet, secret, and fast. The Empire erased the colony from maps. No survivors, no news. They thought it was over. But it wasn't. What the Empire didn't know was that a small group of humans had seen the attack coming. These humans didn't stay to fight. They ran, not out of fear, but out of hope. They believed humans could survive, but not in the Empire's space. So they left everything behind and flew into the dark parts of the galaxy. Uncharted space where no one dared go. People thought they died, but the truth was different. Far from the Empire's eyes, these humans built something new. They found hidden systems, strange energy fields, and rare materials. They worked in silence. They studied old tech and created new ones. They didn't waste time with war. They focused on learning, growing, and improving. They built machines that could think, ships that could vanish, and engines that bent space. In time, they created a hidden empire of their own, one based on knowledge and peace, but always ready to defend. They didn't forget what happened to their people. They remembered the lost colony, the screams, the silence, the betrayal. They never forgave the Xarix Empire, but they didn't return for revenge. They returned to stop the same thing from happening to others. Now, after 300 years, they were back. The ships the Empire saw were only scouts, test units, controlled by advanced AI. These ships watched from the dark, studying the Empire, mapping their systems, learning their movements. The humans didn't speak, didn't send threats. They just watched and waited. The Empire's scientists tried to understand human technology, but they failed. The black ships didn't use fuel. They didn't leave energy trails. Their weapons were unknown. Their shields were invisible. Some believed the ships were alive. Others thought they used old alien tech lost in time. The truth was even stranger. Humans had created a new kind of energy, pure, clean, and silent. It powered everything, and it could not be traced. One Empire officer, a young scientist named Ralok, became obsessed with the human signal. He studied the binary code that came from the dead zone. Late one night, he cracked part of it. The message said, "We remember, we wait, we build." Ralok showed his findings to the High Science Council, but they laughed at him. Old stories, they said. Ghosts. But the Emperor didn't laugh. He had seen the ships. He had felt their silence. He ordered Ralok to find out more, fast. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, strange things started to happen. Pirate ships disappeared without a fight. Slave markets went dark. Secret weapons labs exploded. No one claimed responsibility. But everywhere, the message was the same. A quiet signal, hidden deep in code, repeating one word: humanity. People began to whisper. The humans were not just alive. They were powerful. They had returned not as victims, but as watchers, judges, and maybe something more. The Empire began to panic in secret. Military leaders pushed for more weapons. Scientists begged for time to study the new tech. But nothing worked. Every system they used was outdated. Every test failed. The more they tried to fight this hidden power, the more they felt blind. One admiral said, "This is not war. This is a warning." The emperor stood in silence. He remembered stories from the past, when humans laughed, sang, and lived without fear. Now they moved like shadows in space. No emotion, no sound, only cold, perfect machines doing their will. "They were weak once," the emperor said softly. "We made them strong." And far beyond the stars, in a system no Empire ship could reach, the human council stood in a silent room, watching everything. No faces shown, only voices. One voice said, "The time is near." Another replied, "Let them see what we've become." The Xarix Empire still believed they had time. They believed they could control the situation. But humans were already deep inside their space. No one saw them enter. No alarm was triggered. The black ships moved like ghosts, silent and unseen. They passed through border systems, above military stations, and even near the capital planet, without a single detection. The Empire wanted answers, so they sent a message. A peaceful one. It said, "We welcome discussion. Let us talk and understand your purpose." They waited for a reply. 1 hour passed. Then one day, still nothing. The humans didn't respond. Then it happened. Without warning, 10 major defense systems across the Empire shut down. No explosions, no battles, just silence. The power stopped. Weapons froze. Shields failed. Entire fleets went dark in space. When engineers checked the systems, they found strange code written in the machines. Code that no one in the Empire could read. The Emperor held an emergency meeting. Everyone was shouting. Some said it was a cyber attack. Others believed it was a warning. But no one could explain how it was done. The High General looked at the Emperor and said, "They didn't destroy us. They just turned off the lights. They're showing us they can end us any time they want." Fear spread quickly. News couldn't be hidden anymore. People on border planets started leaving. Cargo ships refused to travel. Military officers began asking hard questions. How did they get in? How did they do this? Are we at war? Then came the biggest shock of all. A human ship entered one of the core systems. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It just appeared in orbit above a mining world, right next to a fleet of Empire warships. The Empire ships aimed their weapons. The human ship did nothing. A few seconds later, every Empire ship shut down. Lights gone. Engines stopped. The crews panicked, calling for help. But they were alone. The human ship hovered silently. Then, as quickly as it came, it vanished. The fleet was dead in space for hours. No one was hurt. Nothing was destroyed. But the message was clear. Humans controlled everything. The Empire didn't know what to do. Some leaders wanted to attack. Others begged for peace. But the humans still said nothing. They stayed silent, watching, moving, disabling systems and vanishing before anyone could stop them. Then a signal came through the old human language channels. One word: remember. The Emperor finally understood. This was not a war. It was something else. The humans had come to remind the Empire of what they had done. The destruction of the human colony, the silence, the lies. It was all returning now. Still, the Empire's pride was strong. They gathered their top fleet and sent it to the outer regions, near the dead zone. The mission was clear: find the human base and destroy it. The fleet never arrived. The last message sent from the command ship showed a flash of black light, then a strange ripple in space, like the stars were bending. Then nothing. The entire fleet vanished. The Empire was in chaos now. Planets started to rebel. Soldiers lost faith. Pirates and criminals disappeared in the shadows. Even the rich and powerful began looking for ways to escape. And through all of this, the humans never fired a single shot. The Emperor stood alone in his chamber, watching the empty stars. He thought about the past, about the humans they had once ruled over, about the colony they destroyed without reason. He remembered the fear in the council's eyes, and now that fear was everywhere. The humans had returned, but not as victims. They had come back stronger, smarter, and more silent than any force in history. They didn't seek revenge in the usual way. They didn't want to destroy planets or kill leaders. They wanted the Empire to feel what it had done, to face its own weakness. And so first contact had come. But it was not words. It was not peace. It was a quiet chaos, a slow fall, and a lesson the galaxy would never forget. The Empire had always feared war. But this was worse. This was the end of control. And still the humans had not even shown their true power. The galaxy was changing. The Xarix Empire, once proud and powerful, was now full of fear. Its systems were breaking. Its fleets were gone. Its people were whispering. But still, the humans said nothing more. Only the word remember stayed in the air like a ghost. The Empire could feel the pressure growing. It was like standing on the edge of a cliff, not knowing when the ground would fall. The Emperor could no longer hide the truth. Across the Empire, cities were protesting. Soldiers were refusing orders. People began searching the old records about humans, about the colony that was destroyed. The truth came out. The Empire had attacked first. The humans had done nothing wrong. The Xarix had feared their progress, their speed, their thinking. So they struck them down before they could rise. But they failed. In the darkness, humans had survived. Not just survived, they had evolved. They became something new, something greater. The black ships were just the surface. No one had seen what was behind them, until now. It began with a light in the sky, bright, golden, and calm. Not like the black ships. This one was different. It hovered above the Imperial Palace, glowing like a second sun. No weapons, no noise, just light. The people watched from every screen. The Emperor stepped outside, alone. A voice came from the ship, soft, human, and clear. We do not come for war. We come to show you what we became. And then the ship opened. Inside was no pilot, no soldier, no king. It was full of knowledge, floating images, data, music, language, all showing what humans had created over 300 years. New worlds, peaceful cities, machines that healed, technology that cleaned planets, schools that taught every species, and energy that never ran out. They had built a civilization of balance, not power, but purpose. The Emperor fell to his knees. This was not an enemy. This was a mirror showing what the Empire could have been, but wasn't. The voice continued, "You ruled with fear. We learned with pain. You built control. We built peace, but peace must be protected." Then the voice paused. "You destroyed our past, so we erased your future." At that moment, the Empire's star map changed. Entire systems went dark. Not destroyed, but blocked. The humans had locked them out. Their gates, their jump lanes, their travel lines, all controlled now by human A's. The Empire's movement was frozen. Their power was gone, and they could not take it back. Then came the true message. This is not the end. It is the beginning. The galaxy belongs to all. No more empires. No more rulers. You may join us, but only if you change. The Emperor looked up, his face pale, broken. He asked, "Why didn't you destroy us?" The voice answered, "Because destruction is easy, but change is hard. And real power means helping others change." Then the ship rose higher and vanished like a dream. Across the Empire, silence fell. In that silence, people began to think, not about war, but about truth. Not about power, but about purpose. Some wept, others sat quietly. And deep inside, something started to shift. The humans had not returned to fight. They had returned to lead, but not through force, through example. Their message was clear. The galaxy would no longer be ruled by fear, but by choice. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Xarix Empire had to make a choice. Change, or disappear forever. The galaxy was never the same after that day. The Xarix Empire, once proud and powerful, now sat in the shadows of its own past. The humans had shown them a new way, a way of peace, balance, and understanding. But the path to that new order was not easy. It would take time. It would take change. The Emperor, once the ruler of millions, now stood in the center of a quiet palace. The throne, once a symbol of power, was empty. The lights of the palace were dimmed, and the halls echoed with silence. Outside, the people waited. They were not looking for orders. They were waiting for answers. The humans had given them a choice: change or fade into nothingness. The Empire could no longer rely on its old ways. The fear, the control, the destruction. It was all over. The humans had erased the Empire's ability to fight back, to control, to rule. The question now was whether the Empire could embrace the future or whether it would remain a ghost of the past. In the heart of the Empire's council chamber, the leaders met. Generals, scientists, diplomats, all sat in uneasy silence. The High General spoke first, his voice heavy with doubt. "We have no power left. Our fleets are gone. Our systems are locked. The humans have stripped us of everything." Another leader, a once powerful politician, stood up. "But they didn't destroy us. They didn't take our lives. They showed us a way to live differently. If we want to survive, we must learn from them." The Emperor, pale and tired, raised his hand for silence. "We thought we could control everything. We built our empire on fear. But the humans showed us something we didn't see. They didn't come to conquer. They came to teach." The room grew quiet. Slowly, the leaders began to understand. The empire had been built on the belief that strength meant ruling through power. But the humans had shown them that true strength was in building a future together, in understanding, and in respect. The Emperor looked out at the darkened skyline of the capital. "The humans gave us the chance to change, to choose peace. It's up to us now. But we cannot do this alone. We must rebuild, not as an empire, but as part of something bigger." For the first time in centuries, the Emperor did not feel like a king. He felt like a student. The humans had offered them the chance to learn. And now, he had to teach his people to think beyond control and power. He had to show them that unity, not fear, could lead the galaxy. Months passed, and the people of the Empire began to feel the change. Slowly, their cities became more open, more peaceful. The old military ships were retired, replaced by peaceful fleets dedicated to exploration, research, and trade. The old weapons were locked away, and instead of battle plans, the council began to discuss ways to help others. The humans did not invade. They did not force the Empire into submission. Instead, they sent representatives, people who had once been leaders, scientists, and explorers. They came to teach, to guide, and to show the Empire how to live without fear. Some resisted. Some still longed for the old ways. But the majority of people saw the truth. They saw that there was another way, a better way. They saw that peace wasn't just about the absence of war, but the presence of understanding. The message from the humans echoed in their hearts. The galaxy belongs to all. No more empires. No more rulers. Only unity. Only choice. As the years passed, the empire became something new. It was no longer an empire at all. It became part of a new galactic union. A place where all species, all people, could live without fear, without oppression. The humans, once thought to be a lost race, had returned to help show the galaxy a path forward. Not with weapons, but with wisdom. Not with force, but with knowledge. The Emperor, now an old man, stood before the people one last time. The crowds were no longer filled with fear. They stood tall, hopeful, looking to the future. He spoke, his voice quiet but strong. We were once rulers, but we learned we were not the only ones with the right to rule. The humans have shown us that strength is in unity, not in power. The future is ours now, not as an empire, but as a family. The humans had given the galaxy a gift, a chance to grow. They didn't come for war. They came to remind everyone that the greatest strength isn't in ruling, but in building, in understanding, in changing. And so the galaxy began anew.